On this episode of Star Trek Universe, Matt and I are catching up on all the freaking news. And there's a lot. Plus, I have a fun conspiracy theory about Section 31.
Ooh.
It's not even really a theory. It's just some interesting stuff. But we could turn it into a conspiracy theory in this episode.
Let's do it.
Right after these words from our mystery sponsors.
Welcome to Star Trek Universe, the podcast where you get listened in on two lifelong friends sit and chat about Star Trek. And tonight we got some news. My name is Matthew Carroll.
I'm David C. Robertson.
What's up, buddy?
I don't know, man. Things are weird and scary in the Star Trek universe, man.
Yeah, it feels a little, whatever. I guess you tell me. You've been gathering all this news up. We had another news episode in a while because we just, we're busy with Discovery. Yeah, let's first, you want to talk about this Prodigy trailer first?
Actually, you know what I wanted to talk about first was the Paramount chiefs saying that they're going to be cutting $500 million in costs. And that, their profits dropped 61%. And I'm just a little, concerned. I think, to me, there are basically two paths ahead for Star Trek: Star Wars or Stargate. Mm-hmm. Either they can move towards expanding and decide that, yes, this is an important IP and we're doubling down, or the real fear, they'll let Star Trek just kind of taper off, sit, and fade into obscurity. And my rational side, though, tends to believe we'll see them do a lot more of what they did with Prodigy, start licensing it out to other platforms and streamers. But, Paramount Plus still has not made a profit.
Right.
They're like hundreds of millions of dollars in debt on this.
Sure.
So, and they've said they've got several plans and whatever. I'm not terribly interested in all of that. They've got lots of different things they could sell off. BT and Nickelodeon and MTV and Comedy Central. They've got lots of assets. But as far as, I don't think they'll sell Star Trek, but I do think that, it's very viable for them to license it out to other platforms. Hopefully, platforms that would get more eyes on it, like Netflix.
Sure. My only fear there is just the coordination between all those different platforms. And, if you license things to different... right now, there's what is it? Lord of the Rings. We've been talking about a lot on Multiverse News. The TV division, the TV licenses have been given to one company, but the movie licenses to another. And so they're both trying to expand the canon of Lord of the Rings, but they're in two different companies. So we're not sure what kind of viability, the tightness of the canon will have. And so I fear that for Star Trek and it's great. I want more Star Trek. So however it needs to get made is great, but I do hope that they keep a strong creative vision, moving forward or whatever, a strong tight continuity as best they can.
Mm-hmm. And I agree. I have those fears and I'm concerned about Star Trek, but I don't know enough. I know that they've been trying to get merged and their big deal with Skydance fell through, and people keep kind of coming up and going we want to merge. Okay, we'll see. But, we don't know about that. We can only just focus on what we've got in front of us as far as what we know this supposedly coming. And we can move to that. I'll say this. Watch your damn Star Trek. Don't put it on the back burner. Don't sleep on it because these people are getting cutthroat. If you care, watch it. Prodigy. 20 episodes will drop July 1st on Netflix. That's all of season 2.
Yeah. That's a lot at once. I feel I always hate that model. And I know we're going to be trying to cover it here and it's going to be tough because it's terrible for podcasting, but also I just think it's terrible for the conversation. You got 20 episodes. They could have spaced it out into 4 different drops. Even if they dropped 5 episodes a week, I actually found this year when they dropped, Marvel did a few shows, both Echo and What If dropped daily. That sounds like a lot, but they were shorter, especially What If was 20-minute episodes. It felt great to just live in the world of What If for a week and then every day have something to wake up to,
Mm-hmm.
So I just feel like there's all these different ways you could structure this, and you could have done like, like I said, 4 drops of 5 episodes, or 2 drops of 10 or something. I just think it like lends itself to better conversation, better water cooler, more time to pass it around between people. Especially, depending on what the story is like. I mean, maybe Prodigy is such a just sort of a kid's show that they don't expect to have that sort of conversation going about it, so they're just not worried about it. But like, I just think Netflix shoots itself in the foot often with this release strategy.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like generally it needs to be all at once or weekly, and like I don't like.
Well, that's how they normally do it, but I like the things they've been exploring lately with other options.
Yeah, I didn't like how Prodigy before released weekly for whatever it was, 10 episodes, and then was on break for months.
Sure.
I hated that. But weekly might not work well as far as keeping kids interested. Like maybe dropping it all at once and having kids like, oh my God, I want to watch all of this and then watch it again and then watch it again is more important. Maybe it just has to do with Netflix. Maybe it just has to do with their audience. I don't know. But I feel like all of these strategies are constantly just trying to figure out what the hell they need to do with it.
Well, I just think for Netflix specifically, this is their strategy. They drop it all at once. They've experimented like with 1 or 2 shows they did weekly, but like they've made like hundreds of shows now, and they just do them all at once. It's just how they do things. It's how they think the world works now with like people marathoning shows, and sure, they have the data to show that. I guess that's what they want, but I just think that is why almost every Netflix show lasts 3 seasons and never goes past that, because it never catches on, like, within the culture. Like, I feel like things catch on in the culture for 1 season, but because they or 2 seasons, but like they just very rarely persist past that.
I mean, you had your Stranger Things and whatnot,
sure, which I think
honestly,
is going into its 5th season now, but it's ending at 5. It's just, it seems that Netflix produces shorter run shows, and a lot of times they don't end with an ending, and it's just a real bummer. Very rarely do they have like a cultural moment. Yeah. And with Stranger Things is one of the few shows they have decided to split up. Last season they did 2 different drops, which I think was really smart. I saw tons of conversation in the Stranded Panda community of people just talking about that show. But
yeah. It's tough, man. I don't know. I don't have their numbers, so
sure.
I don't know. I just I hope that Prodigy continues, because this trailer looks awesome.
Yeah, it looks great. I don't know that I have any like big like moments that stand out to me as needing discussion necessarily, even, but I just like I feel I'm enjoying the vibe, man. I
mean, we saw Chakotay.
Yeah, I don't care.
And we know that we're doing some amount of time travel.
I mean, but that's all the stuff we knew last season, I guess, is why I jokingly say I don't care, but we knew that's where they were going. They were going to get Chakotay.
Oh, absolutely. And we knew that the Doctor was going to be around. I'm excited to see him here.
Yeah, for sure.
We didn't know it was going to be necessarily time travel, but what would be fun is if, and there's nothing to insinuate or imply in any way that this is the case, but wouldn't it be fun if like these kids started the temporal war? Like, if something they did just like pissed off everyone across time, and they were just like,
yeah,
we have to stop this. Look, they're making strides.
That'd be really funny.
And that would be fun, even if you're like looking at like, I don't know, I'm just kind of coming up with this off the top of my head, but like Prodigy, I think, is like one of the only shows of the new batch that have like really like honed into the original series as still being aesthetically canon.
Yeah.
So like, wouldn't it be fun if they did start the temporal war and they were the ones who were like, that's not how we remember it. Things are different now.
Right. Yeah.
We did something.
That could be fun. It's the tone of the show would absolutely lend itself to that. It has just enough. I mean, it being a cartoon just allows it to have a little more flexibility with tone, and that's fun.
It looks like Murph's getting some new powers, so I don't know.
Well, is that a power of? Are you talking about the invisibility?
Yeah.
Well, he's holding a device.
Oh, was he holding a device?
Yeah. I thought it was a power too, and then it cuts back to him, and when she's saying, like, giggling gives it away. She said it still has some kinks to work out. Giggling gives it away, and it's because Rock Talk has made the little device that
gotcha
with her super engineer powers.
A personal cloaker.
Yeah, exactly, a personal cloak. I mean, which is funny given that it's a kids show. Like the cloak of invisibility from Harry Potter, it feels like they're just directly referencing that almost.
Yeah, and I may have thought about it earlier on this show and said something, but I don't remember that. But watching the trailer, I was just like, I don't know why I didn't think about it then earlier, but I was like, oh, it's like they still have the hologram Janeway, but it's real Janeway now.
Yeah. I feel like we talked about that last season.
We probably did.
Yeah,
I hadn't thought about it in so long. But then I was watching it, I was like, oh.
It's interesting because
dumbass.
Like, it feels almost like the character is just continuing, but it's a completely different character this season, you know? And that version gave her life for them, and now they have a lot of trust in her. But now it's like, are they going to sort of... It seems like at least Dahl is doing some stuff behind the scenes where he's wanting to like spy on her and stuff like that. So I'm wondering if there's going to be like a plot line of mistrusting Janeway because they're realizing she's not the one they know. You know, that classic like, oh, it's this person we know. Oh, she's not the same though. This is a real person.
Yeah, and that's fun. One thing I did notice in the trailer that was kind of funny, and Janeway fans, of which I wouldn't consider myself a complete fan. Like, she's fine. I've had more fun with her on Prodigy than I think I ever did on Voyager. But like, what's fun is like going through like Tumblr and Twitter. There is a group of Janeway fans who were all about like thirst trap Janeway in an action scenario situation with her wife beater on. There's a group that I've seen that's like, oh yeah, here she is in Year of Hell with her tank top. And we got a lot of that in this trailer. I'm like, oh, Silver Fox Janeway in her tank top. Oh, they're going to love this. It's like John McClane Janeway.
I like it. And like, Dahl is up in the air shafts too, so you know, get some real Die Hard vibes.
And you know, it's fun because like once Janeway established that in Voyager, then for the Next Generation movies, they started doing it with Picard. It's like he's in the bowels of the ship in his wife beater hunting down a Borg queen.
It's true. It's true. What do you think of this? I don't know. The entire idea of this season is sort of like cleanup from what happened last season. It seems like, you know, they're going forward in the future to deal with the Chakotay situation, Chakotay being stranded. I'm curious how that will feel. In a way, I like it because I like the continuity of it, and I like the sort of like last year's consequences or last season's consequences visiting this season, you know. But in another way, I'm like, I want something new and like interesting, and just going to find Chakotay feels like not so interesting to me, but like there's a lot. I mean, obviously there was some really cool shots with like, there's that shot of it showing them time traveling where like one prodigy goes in and another comes out. It seems like they're going to be doing some interesting like sort of science play, or I think there's going to be interesting stories. I guess I need some really good episodic content to make me care about the Chakotay storyline. Because for whatever reason,
I believe their ship is the Voyager A.
Oh yeah, neat.
I don't think there was a ship called Prodigy. There was a Protostar.
The Protostar. Yeah. Sorry. This season you're right.
No, I was just like, I believed you for a second, and then I was like, no.
I definitely was thinking the old one was the Protostar, but or the Prodigy, but it wasn't. It was the Protostar. And I forgot that they're on a completely different ship this season. Which Voyager A, which is fun. I like that we're gonna get to know the Voyager A a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, unless it's, you know, I don't know. I didn't catch the name on the trailer, so maybe it was that other ship. I can't remember that Janeway flew.
Yeah, I don't know. I do remember they were getting a new class of ship at the end of last season.
That's what I thought, and I remembered it being Voyager A.
Okay, well, I'm sure that's what it is this season. Then cool.
Yeah. God,
what do you think this big like eye in the trailer is? There's like a big like not eye. It's not an eye. It's like a big circular, like almost like a Stargate in space or whatever. What do you think? Any ideas? I think it's maybe their version of time travel or what they're using. I don't know.
There was I don't remember an eye. I saw it a couple of times, but I did see a number of like what looked like time tunnels on top of each other, like
yeah.
To me, that reminded me of an old Kurt Vonnegut novel called The Sirens of Titan, where they discover a series of time tunnels in outer space called the Chronosynclastic and Fundibula. And somewhat like some hilariously because of shit with like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, like NASA basically said, no, stay the fuck away from that. And then a billionaire went, no, I'm gonna, like this guy named Niles Rumford was like, I'm gonna build a spaceship and fly into it. And he does, and he becomes like separated from our time stream. Mm-hmm. So he just sort of like exists in all places in the solar system at once.
Interesting.
It's a whole. It's a
I
great
love
book,
Vonnegut, man. He just does such cool things with the sci-fi tropes, like, and kind of grounding them or whatever. That's super fun.
Yeah, but that's what it reminded me of, and I don't know. That's neither here nor there, probably.
Yeah, it looks like a bunch of wormholes that are likely time tunnels of some sort that are kind of stacked on top of each other. It makes me think they're, like, you joked about them starting the temporal war, but, like, that seems like the kind of thing that could, if they're, like, bopping in and out of different timelines, like, messing things up. It's suddenly, like, Daniels shows up or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, stop it.
Yeah, that would be great if Daniel showed up and we got like the original guy who played Daniels in Enterprise pop up, and then like Kovic show up. Mm-hmm. I don't know, like if we got some version of both of them.
Yeah, that would be wild.
Like, damn it.
That'd be really wild, especially like seeing as they just that big reveal just happened. If like we got some sort of weird like, Tom and Jerry cartoon where the two Daniels are chasing each other.
Yeah,
through
like,
time tunnels.
I would say like they didn't know that was going to happen until too late. But then again, like they did shoot it like a year ago. So
yeah, well, animation takes a long time, and this animation has been done a while. They just didn't play it, so I have a feeling this was done long before. But it's fun to speculate. If
we have Daniels, it would be the original Daniels.
Likely, yeah.
You good to talk about Strange New Worlds?
Yeah, man. Let's talk about Strange New Worlds.
Anson Mount says Season 3 has taken some bigger swings. He says, I think it's not just an exciting season, but I think it's just storytelling-wise, development-wise, technically. It's going to be our best season so far. A lot of that has to do with even bigger swings taken. The musical episode will not be the craziest thing that we have done by the end of this.
Nice. That's crazy. Last season feels so like big swingy because the musical episode, of course, I think the Lower Decks episode is another one that is a huge swing. Mm-hmm. But then on top of that, we only had 10 episodes, and those two are 2 of the 10. And then on top of that episode with the Doctor, killing the
Under the Cloak of War.
Yeah, Under the Cloak of War. Like those are and the Khan episode. Like that's 4 big swings in my opinion. That are immediately at the top of my brain.
Did you mention the Lower Decks crossover?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, those four episodes, like, yeah, the musical Lower Decks, Under the Cloak of War, and the Khan episode, and then on top of that, you've got the whole like alternate universe episode where Kirk is there. I don't know. That
Tomorrow and Tomorrow. That was Khan.
Oh, was that? No. I'm sorry. There's another one
Oh, you're talking about the Balance of Terror, the alternate Romulan conflict.
Yes.
From TOS. Yes.
Another huge swing. Like, though, I don't know. Being able to pull to mind, I've said this before, but being able to pull to mind like 5 episodes from a 10-episode season and think about how great they were, that's a huge hit ratio.
And I also think of the season finale with the Gorn and introducing Scotty and...
Yeah. That's a good episode.
Good God.
Yeah, it's great. That episode doesn't... that episode just feels like a good episode. It doesn't feel like a huge swing to me. I mean, it is introducing Scotty, which is big, and like continuing the sort of exploration of the Gorn. I like that, but that feels like a piece of the whole to me. Those 5 that we mentioned, those other 5 that I just mentioned, like feel like things I will remember for a long, long time on Star Trek. You know, like things that big moments in Star Trek history or whatever. They're really good stuff.
Yeah, and we know that Strange New Worlds has been renewed for a 4th season.
Good.
And Anson Mount had posted that they were going to come back to Ontario to film Strange New Worlds season 4 in the spring of 2025. So...
Spring of 2025. So we'll probably get another season in 2026. When is Strange New Worlds coming? The season 3?
I don't know.
We don't know yet.
They finished. They wrapped up a few months ago. So
so it's probably coming soon-ish.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll get Lower Decks. I think before.
Okay,
definitely sweet. Prodigy, but I don't know.
Yeah, Prodigy's real soon.
I don't know. Yeah, Prodigy is super soon. That is like in a few days for us. But they've just wrapped Strange New Worlds, but they wrapped Strange New Worlds after they wrapped Section 31, the movie. And we'll talk about it here in a minute. So who knows? Who knows, man? They haven't.
It is wrapped as well.
Dates.
Crazy. It is wrapped as well.
Yes.
Wow. Crazy.
And Starfleet Academy starts shooting very soon. Like they're bringing in cast members. Starfleet Academy begins production at the end of the summer in Toronto.
Okay. That's not far off either.
I know.
That's a lot of big Star Trek things happening, and oh man, I keep hearing big things. I've heard some big casting things, and I'm sure you're going to mention it about that show. Academy. Keep going.
So I know you got into Academy.
So much news this week. We're catching up. So what you got for Academy? I know in Multiverse News we've mentioned a few big names been cast. Yeah.
So Starfleet Academy, Kurtzman explained why it's set in the Discovery era. And I thought it was, to me, I was like, you want to use the sets that you've got. You want to use the, Tilly or some shit. But I liked his answer, actually.
All right. Yeah, let's hear it.
He says, as the father of a 17-year-old boy, I see what my son is feeling as he looks at the world and to his future. I see the uncertainty. I see all the things we took for granted as given are not certainties for him. I see him recognizing he's inheriting an enormous mess to clean up, and it's going to be on his generation to figure out how to do that. And that's a lot to ask of a kid. My thinking was, if we set Starfleet Academy in the halcyon days of the Federation where everything was fine, it's not going to speak to what kids are going through right now. It'll be a nice fantasy, but it's not really going to be authentic. What'll be authentic is to set it in the timeline where this is the first class back after over 100 years, and they are coming into a world that is only beginning to recover from a cataclysm, which was the burn, as established on Discovery, where the Federation was greatly diminished. So they're the first who will re-inherit the task of exploration as a primary goal, because there just wasn't room for that during the burn. Everybody was playing defense. It's an incredibly optimistic show, an incredibly fun show. It's a very funny show, and it's a very emotional show. I think these kids in different ways are going to represent what a lot of kids are feeling now.
Okay, I can hear that. Like, that's a really nice point. But counterpoint. Like,
damn you.
Right after Picard is also immediately after the entire Federation was either assimilated or killed. Mm-hmm. So, like, it's also after a huge cataclysm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, come on. I hear what they're saying, and I do think that the like that was such a momentary problem that maybe this will be more of like, after like literally years and years and years of damage being done, they're now trying to rebuild the Federation, and I'm really excited about all that political stuff of like bringing people into the Federation and all that I think that show will probably deal with more. But man, and I'm sure like, they'll probably bring in, Orions into the Academy or whatever, you know what I mean? Like people from the Emerald Chain will probably like start worlds from the Emerald Chain will be dealing with the destruction of their worlds and like the total like, authoritarianism they were dealing with, and now they're like joining the Federation, and you'll have like incoming students that grew up in that environment. Like that all sounds cool, and I'm down. But I do think that like that is the Picard also ended with a big cataclysm.
Yeah, it's interesting because like it's tough. I wanted over the Discovery's run and didn't get it to see a lot more of the political landscape.
Me too.
And what was going on with all these different species that we knew and remembered from the 24th century timeline.
A lot of them just seem to be like incorporated into the Federation in one way or another.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted to see where they were. Mm-hmm. But I also had that same feeling on Picard. Because I was like, I wanted to see where they were in the 24th century.
It's that classic freaking Onion article about the 2009 Star Trek where they're like, Star Trek fans mad that the new Star Trek does not have near enough like
boring political conversations around
diplomatic tables or whatever.
Big tables or something. Yeah.
Like I want all of that. I want lots of those like boring conversations around big diplomatic tables, but like it doesn't seem like what the rest of the world wants.
Yeah, probably not. He also talked about the physical setting for the series. He says the Academy is returning to its roots on Earth and San Francisco. He says, I'm going to say without giving anything away, it is both Earth-based and space-based. Right now we're in the middle of answering the question, what does San Francisco, where the Academy is, look like in the 32nd century? He says their primary set is the biggest they've ever built. I'm excited about that. That sounds cool.
Yeah.
He talks about he says there's an army of people who pore over every aspect of every season, so you're always looking for what was the last closest era. What did we see there, and then how would we evolve from there? The continuity from Enterprise all the way to Discovery. You want to feel that each show in some form is represented in the sum total of what Discovery looks like or what anything in the 32nd century looks like. We took a risk in the 32nd century because we started separating the ship parts in a way that we hadn't done before. And in Starfleet Academy, we will end up explaining how that works. Which is actually interesting because one of the questions that we always ask ourselves is, what is the reality of this? It can't be magic. So what's actually going on there? I want to see more of the ships, like the ship parts floating around. Mm-hmm. I didn't mind the nacelles not being attached. Like I wanted the Starfleet ships to all act like book ship. Mm-hmm. I wanted them to look like freaking like Tetris blocks.
I did. Well, I think that was a really cool thing about book ship, and I would love to see more of that. But I think, the thing about book ship is it's got one guy in it. So you've got one bridge that needs to stay intact, and the rest of the ship can do whatever it wants around that one guy who can't have his like room destroyed that he's standing in. But like Federation ships have hundreds of thousands of people on them, and so you kind of have to have some sort of stability. So I get why they'd be different, but I hear you. It would be cool to see the Federation incorporate some of that technology.
Or if you're in the middle of a firefight, in standard Star Trek, they're like, we've got a hull breach on deck 12. You got to seal it and shit. What if they're like, we got a hull breach in this sector, just expel it. And it's just like the ship taking a dump. It's like, and you just got this floating room, like there were 3 ensigns in that room. Well, damn it.
Yeah, I feel like that's something you could do in any era, but yeah, that's fun.
Like programmable turds.
Oh man.
But yeah, they announced that Holly Hunter is going to be the lead of the show.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Oscar winner, Holly Hunter.
Yeah, I like Holly Hunter a lot.
Yeah, I'm I was really excited to find out about Holly Hunter being the lead of the show. Mm-hmm. I was even more excited to find out that Paul Giamatti is going to be the main villain.
Right. That was the one that blew me away on Multiverse News. Got me really excited. Yeah. How cool and how weird and like how perfect. I love the idea of him, doing his classic. Like he is just such a fit for a classic Star Trek villain. Like a really great actor, like but with a lot of flair and a lot of he could be anything. He could be any alien race he wanted to, and still you'd see Giamatti under there performing. He's such a big actor. I love that.
Yeah, and for years and years ago, back like after the first Star Trek reboot movie came out, the Kelvinverse, I remember being on the message boards and being like, they need to bring in Paul Giamatti as Harry Mudd for this universe. As like the most like malevolent piece of shit Harry Mudd that we've ever seen before. Like really dig in.
That'd be funny.
And I got so much hate. Keep Harry Mudd the fuck away from Star Trek. Mm-hmm. And then like Rainn Wilson came in and did exactly what I was saying they should do. Yeah. Everyone's like, Harry Mudd's the best. And I'm like, I hate you pieces of shit.
People don't know what they want until they get it. They really don't.
Yeah. But I doubt Paul Giamatti is playing Harry Mudd in the 32nd century. No. But you know what? If anyone could figure out how to stay alive, it would be Harry Mudd. I'd be okay with it.
That's true. But if they were doing Harry Mudd and he had somehow survived, they would just bring back Rainn Wilson.
Probably, yeah.
Like a Rainn Wilson who'd been hanging out in a pattern buffer for 800 years or whatever, 700 years.
Well, given Harry Mudd's affinity for androids, I would assume that he would somehow figure out a way to transfer his consciousness into a robot body.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Harry Mudd, like Rainn Wilson, but he has a little bit of that like Data skin sort of situation. But he doesn't. But full emotions and everything.
If it's 32nd century, we've already got like full flesh, normal-wized synthetics. So
yeah, no, I know.
But yeah, man, I'm very excited to see who Paul Giamatti is playing.
Yeah, me too.
It would be funny if he was just like Tilly's dad somehow. Like, she's from the 23rd century, but still, he figured out. All my ideas come from Paul Giamatti just like somehow living through centuries, like 1,000 years.
He's like, Tilly, I grounded you, and I will live thousands of years to make sure I ground you again. Just a weird, overbearing dad.
He would be that guy, like that kind of character he was in Shoot 'Em Up, where he's like, "You've been very naughty, young lady." Lower Decks. Yeah. We know, of course, season 5 is the end. So far.
But yeah.
Unless there's something that saves it. Showrunner Mike McMahon says, for me, it's like I'm greedy. I would have kept making this show forever, but getting 5 seasons is such a miracle. It's insane that this show even existed. Every season, I felt like was a miracle. There are grand stories I'm telling for the characters in Lower Decks. So season 5 feels like an amazing send-off. It feels like the end of a chapter, but not the end of a series. I had enough time to know that it had to be special. So it doesn't feel like okay, all right. It doesn't feel like the end. Okay, cool. Thank you.
Well, I don't know if that's supposed to be some sort of hint that he thinks it'll continue in some form. Or
I don't know.
What?
In 2023, he said he had an idea for animated Lower Decks movie. He said he had ideas for live action Lower Decks movies. Mm-hmm. So, I hope it continues. I want to see it continue. I love Lower Decks.
Yeah, me too.
But by the way, not really totally related, but I have been watching this anime show. It's anime, but it's stylistically, but it's made for the U.S. Jack Quaid. It's a cartoon called My Adventures with Superman.
Oh yeah.
And Jack Quaid plays Superman.
I heard about this. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
He's like an intern. He and Jimmy room together. They're interns. They start at the Daily Planet. There's an intern there who's been there for a year and hasn't been able to move up. It's Lois Lane. The show is fucking Lower Decks. He is Brad Boimler with superpowers.
That's funny. That's
Jimmy
funny.
is Rutherford. He's like super excited about everything, and oh man, he's like a conspiracy theorist, and he's like talking about all these really cool things, like oh there are mer people, and everything he talks about is stuff that's in the DC universe that's true. So he's just like, he has like a date, like he's trying to remind them, like, remember, you got to meet me at the bus stop because we're going out to the woods to go hunt for Bigfoot. We're going squatching.
What?
And of course, like the Bigfoot turns out to be like Gorilla Grodd. But
right, yeah,
it's just so Lower Decks.
That is Lower Decks. That's funny. I've been thinking. I heard about him playing Superman. And I was like, man, Jack Quaid is really getting around the nerdverse. Like he's really doing a lot of things. But it's funny that show is so similar to Lower Decks. I didn't know that. That's pretty
I was
great.
Shocked.
Yeah. I've been hearing good things
Lois
about it.
Is Mariner.
Weird. That totally fits. But like weird, man. It's weird that they're doing that.
Her dad is like one of the bad guys. He's like General Sam Lane, and she's got all this like pent up stuff about, you know, how she's disappointed her parents, but like she doesn't want to go down their path, and it is so Lower Decks in so many ways.
That is so weird. That is so.
It's a really good show.
Sure. But if it didn't have Jack Quaid in it, I would think like, oh, it's probably a similar thing, but it's almost weird that he would star in two shows that are like pulling from universes to make lots of jokes like that. To be the same show and then have the same guy being the lead actor, that is very strange.
Yeah, it feels so much like Lower Decks. And I didn't even notice until like 3 or 4 episodes in, and I was like, this is Lower Decks. I knew I liked this show for a reason.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, it does some cool stuff. It plays with the mythos enough that like they will show me a character for 3 or 4 or 6 episodes, and I'll be like, okay, well I don't know who that guy is, and then when they reveal who it is, I'm like,
nice.
What?
That's great.
I should have caught on.
That's great. Love it.
It is. Over to Legacy. Nothing is happening.
Okay, good.
You know, Star Trek Legacy, the thing that all of us want, but look, Paul Bettany is going to be in a Vision series that Terry Matalas, the Legacy showrunner, you might think. He is doing that series. He's the showrunner for...
So excited for that. Like, that scene is, I guess this is going to come WandaVision, but one of those last scenes in WandaVision that, like, sent his character off of the show, I always, like, on MCU Cast, we've been talking about it all this time, I've been calling that, like, such a Star Trek moment. Like, it's literally like, you know, talking a computer down. You know what I mean? I was like, it was such a great Star Trek moment, and I loved it so much. I've been talking about that for years. And then so to have Terry Matalas take the thing that jumped off of to be its own show, and then take on that, like, computer that's out, like, searching the world for purpose. Like, I'm like, that's such a Star Trek thing. And I think Terry Matalas probably has a great opportunity there to do some great Star Trek-y type work inside the MCU, which I am down.
Yeah, so that series is a Disney Plus series, and it's set for 2026. But then it was also just announced that he is tackling a remake of the 1980s sci-fi movie Enemy Mine.
Yep. Another movie that I've always said has, like, reminds me so much of Star Trek. And really, well, you know, the truth, good.
That movie is pretty much like they remade that movie on Next Generation as an episode called The Enemy.
Yes, I did remember that. And I've always, so that's always connected. I almost said Enemy Mine always seems Star Trek-y, and then what I was going to say is, well, actually, I guess Star Trek seemed Enemy Mine-y because they basically copied it. They also did that exact same thing with an Orville episode, where like the captain gets trapped with a, you know, alien that he can't understand on a planet. They're like, you know, enemies, but they have to work together to survive, you know?
Yep.
But, like, again, Terry Matalas is tackling the kind of sci-fi that I grew up loving. And I think he did a good job adapting Picard for the modern era and still making it feel like a Next Generation continuation. So, yeah, go for it, Matalas. Do your work. Like, do good things.
I'll be damned.
Yeah.
Terry Matalas is turning out to be the successful Brian Fuller.
Interesting.
Because everything Brian Fuller touches, he winds up getting canceled or he gets fired. Or both.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I really like Brian Fuller too, so it's a real bummer. But I haven't seen. Terry Matalas did 12 Monkeys, right? That was his other had the kind of a cult following, which he brought a lot of those actors onto Picard. I know. It's been making me want, because of his. Not, Picard is like, okay, he did one Star Trek thing and I liked it, but now that he's picking up the Vision stuff and Enemy Mine, I've been like, okay, maybe I need to go watch 12 Monkeys, because like I liked the movie 12 Monkeys. I liked the first couple episodes of the show. I just like it was one of those that I started weekly and just like didn't keep up with, when it first came out on Hulu like 10 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's exciting. I know that neither of those things are Star Trek, and it's pulling the talent away from Star Trek that we want around. But like,
I know,
I am still really excited for both those shows.
I mean, it's still an update to me, because I'm like, if you're wanting legacy, I don't know how that's going to happen. Right now.
Yeah, it's definitely an update. I mean, unless they just have a different showrunner take on legacy.
Yeah, which I don't want. I want Matalas. Basically, like. If it were up to me, I would probably fire Alex Kurtzman and replace him with Terry Matalas.
Interesting.
That would be my thing. Like, I would probably do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'd have to really think on it, because they have done some cool things in this era of Trek, and they've expanded Trek in a way that like feels very diverse, but still feels Star Trek-y to me. Like, I mean, thinking about Prodigy and Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds and Discovery and Picard, 5 shows all feel completely different to me. And they all feel like Star Trek, and I enjoy all of them. They're all my taste, it's my taste of children's show, and my taste of like adult animation, and my taste in like serialized exploration shows. And so like, I love the era we're in. So the as much as Kurtzman has been responsible for that, like I can't fault him.
Yeah.
But I do also like Picard felt the most like the third season of Picard felt the most like, well, second to Strange New Worlds felt the most Star Trek-y to me. It felt the most like home to me. But that's the thing about Strange New Worlds. It's so amazing that show to me feels more like Star Trek home to me than Picard did, even though it had all those characters and the Enterprise D in it, and I still think Strange New Worlds feels more like home to me. And I guess whoever's showrunning Strange New Worlds is which I should know, but they're killing it.
I'm probably speaking too rashly when I say I would fire Alex Kurtzman. Like, if it was a situation where I was in that had that power, and an angel of the freaking Lord came down and was like, "You got to have only one guy in charge of Star Trek," I would choose Matalas. But if I could, split it, and I could be like, "Hey, Alex Kurtzman, you're gonna handle all the Kelvinverse shit, and Matalas will handle all the Prime timeline shit," I would totally do something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, either way, I'm mostly enjoying what they're putting out. So
yeah. Okay, so Akiva Goldsman and Henry Alonso Myers are the co-showrunners for Strange New Worlds, apparently. I'm just looking it up. Okay, cool. And I know Akiva Goldsman's someone that Kurtzman's been working with for a long time and all this stuff, so...
Akiva Goldsman is one of those guys that I never know. I never feel comfortable with him. I don't know if I can trust him.
What does that mean?
He's a fucking Oscar winner. But then, like, he wrote Batman and Robin.
Okay, listen. Sometimes you just got to forgive people.
I mean, you look at those two things, you're like, but I know the studio was like, we want a toy commercial for Batman and Robin. Fair enough.
Okay,
you're not going to get A Beautiful Mind. Gotcha.
Yeah. But it is a weird, like, Da Vinci Code, Lost in Space, like the 98 movie, Strange New Worlds, which I love, the Dark Tower movie, Beautiful Mind, like a really weird, Constantine, 2005's Constantine, I Am Legend, which I think...
2005's Constantine was a lot better than people remember being.
No, I agree. That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm with you.
Yeah.
It's great. I Am Legend, I think, is a great movie. They just screwed the ending up, but that wasn't their fault. That was like test screenings.
The alternate ending was better.
Yeah, for sure.
So here's the thing about them, though. Like, when you look at, like, Nacelles was the showrunner for the first half of Picard Season 2. He went to go do Season 3 and left it to Akiva Goldsman. The second half of Picard Season 2 sucked.
Right. Well, it's one of those things, like, maybe Kurtzman is the guy who's, like, the good Feige type, like, the good producer over running the thing he's good at, but maybe he's not a guy we actually want, like, in the chair. You know what I mean? Like, I think that happens a lot. People are really good.
We're talking about Akiva Goldsman, though.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about Kurtzman leaving Picard. Oh, so Akiva Goldsman left Picard. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, see, but then he's the showrunner right now for Strange New Worlds, though. Like,
I know.
So I can't say that he's, like, messing that up. But I don't know. He's a co-showrunner, so maybe it's Henry Alonzo Myers. Maybe he's doing a lot of the stuff we really like. I don't know.
Now, I know Akiva is the guy who has actively gone on record as being like, yeah, I don't think we break canon, but we body check it.
Yeah.
And I'm, like, looking at the show and going, I am enjoying the hell out of this, but you fucking broke canon, dude. Like, this shit is not canon. Like, with the original series. Like, yes, you had, like... And that's fine. I get it. You've made a thing. You've made it to where now everything is canon. Everything is canon. It's just the canon changed within the canon.
Right.
But, like, I'm rewatching the original series, and I don't know who the hell T'Pring is. I'm just saying. Nurse Chapel ain't never heard of Spock's wife.
Right.
She's like, this is some bullshit. let's call a spade, y'all. This is some bullshit.
Yeah, they've definitely changed it. And just like, you sent me a picture. It was like that. Why are you on my ship? A Star Trek novel. Why are you on my ship? You know what I'm talking about? That
a novel by Christopher Pike. Why are you always on my ship?
And it was like Kirk and Pike hanging out there. It was so funny. So, and it was done just perfectly in the format of the old school, like, whatever novels of Star Trek.
The pocketbook novels.
Yeah. So that was a really funny meme you sent me this week. I really liked it.
Yeah, I loved that.
Yeah.
So this new Star Trek movie, the Origin movie, I guess they're going with this instead of Star Trek 4. Like, I am so annoyed by that because I don't want, as much as I want everything, I don't want a Star Trek Origin movie of the Kelvin universe.
No.
We got an Origin movie of the Kelvin universe. It was called 2009 Star Trek.
Yeah, what are you doing? Don't give me an... yeah. I agree completely. Like, that's the dumbest idea. Do not give me an Origin movie for the Origin movie that was 2009. What the hell?
But Simon Kinberg is in talks to produce the project. This is a guy who did a bunch of X-Men shit.
Yeah, I've heard.
I wasn't a big fan of his when he was doing the Fox X-Men movies.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want this movie. I just want Star Trek 4.
Yeah. Or do something just totally new and different. Like, I know that people, like, connect the original series with Star Trek more so than they do, even Next Generation, so they want to do Kirk and Spock stories. Like, I get it, but, like, dude, just, like, I would rather them do, like, a Kelvin verse Picard movie or whatever. Like, jump forward, do something new, show me something new in the Kelvin verse. Do not, I think, who knows? I may be in 4 years being like, this is the best Star Trek movie I've ever seen, but, like, I think it's a stupid idea. Like, it's a stupid, sort of regressive idea for Star Trek.
I think it's stupid. I am going on record right now. This movie is not getting made.
Right. I think it feels like it's just a placeholder, or like maybe like a bargaining chip to try to get their actors back to the table. They're like, well, actors, if you don't want to come, we'll get younger people to play all of you. And it's like, maybe that'll work as a bargaining chip, but I don't know. Like, it doesn't feel like a thing they're actually wanting to make.
Or if it's just like we're going back, we don't know how long back they're going either. Like,
yeah.
Which doesn't make sense, because if you go by what Orsi and Kurtzman said back in the day, if you go back too far, if you go back further than the Kelvin being attacked by the Narada,
yeah,
it's just the origin of Star Trek.
Right. Yep. Which I guess
it's
could be
the prime
fun.
timeline.
That could be fun, but, like, that's also like, that's going pretty far back. That's whatever, 30 years before Kirk's Enterprise. So like, yeah, what are you even doing at that point? I mean, like, it's fine. I guess that there are stories to be told there, but like, it just doesn't, it does not feel, I don't need it to be an origin for that ship and that crew. Like if they're doing just like a different, they're sticking with the Kelvin timeline, but maybe they're going back and like telling how, you know, the world actually changed after the Narada came back, you know, like that could be cool. It could be interesting. They're like ratcheting up of, you know, military technology and all that stuff. Like that could be neat, but like, calling it an origin story for the Kelvin timeline feels dumb though, especially when we know how it started because of that movie and the book, and the comic books that accompanied it. Yep.
I don't know. Discovery Season 5 and Complete Series box set coming to Blu-ray and DVD in August. That's August 27th.
Cool.
And it's going to be available on digital the 26th.
Cool.
And I will be getting it.
Sweet.
I am that guy. All right, now let's get to Section 31. I've put it off.
Okay.
Because I went down a real rabbit hole.
Ooh, is this our possible conspiracy theory?
Yeah.
I love it. Let's do it.
It will get to it. Okay. Section 31, we got cast news. I don't know how you say his name. Joe Pingu is playing a character named Dada No. N-O-E. I sent you a picture. That's like, we've got a picture of him, and he's like bald and he's got tats, and it looks like he's got like a Borg spine on the top of his head, like a Borg spine mohawk or something. I don't know what I'm looking at.
All right.
We got Nikita Kim, who is playing Philippa Giorgio's younger brother. Cindy Go is playing Giorgio's mom, and Houston Wong is playing her dad. Okay, so I'm assuming that's going to be flashback shit.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But this is also the Philippa Giorgio from the alternate timeline too. So if you're doing flashback stuff, is that going to be? I guess that makes sense that they would be like showing mirror universe stuff leading into her storyline.
Yeah, I would assume.
Or when the Guardians sent her back, they sent her back to her like regular life, and she's having to deal with like a family she never knew. That could also be really interesting. Like this family thinks she's Giorgio and she's not, and they have to like deal with that. Like that's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, I don't know what exact time this is set in, but there is a hint.
Ooh.
Like we've basically found out that it's not going to be the Discovery's time.
Right.
Or previous time.
I assumed that wouldn't be the case. Given how it went down.
It's looking like it's going to be early 24th century.
Okay.
Which is not a time that we have spent a lot of time in.
That's like between Kirk and Picard. Like that's...
Yeah,
that makes sense for the origins of Section 31, or like the origins of the version of Section 31 we get in Deep Space Nine. It's clearly been around for a while, but the Section 31 we saw in Discovery did not seem like the same vibe. Like they were not they weren't a secret or whatever. So like if this is the beginnings of how Section 31 became that clandestine organization, I guess that timeline makes sense.
I mean, Section 31, we've seen that they exist well before the original series. Like, we saw them showing up in Enterprise.
Oh, that's true.
So Section 31's been around, and we know that they were around in the 23rd century in Discovery.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Osun Sanmi, the director, said... It was always my goal to deliver an entertaining experience that is true to the universe but appeals to newcomers. I wanted a low barrier of entry so that anyone could enjoy it. And Michelle Yeoh described it as Mission Impossible in space, but likened the tone to Guardians of the Galaxy.
Osun
Sanmi at WonderCon said all these treks are a little bit different. This one is definitely different, but it's still Star Trek, and we just finished shooting just a week and a half ago. That was a while back. And we had James Hiroyuki Lau, who we don't know who he's playing on Section 31. He was announced a while ago. And he said, all I can say is that my guy is very, very intense without giving anything away. He's a broken soul, and hurt people hurt people. Okay. The official synopsis did say that she's going... Michelle Yeoh's character, Giorgio, is going to be tasked with protecting the United Federation of Planets, but must also face the sins of her past.
Mm-hmm.
And here's my wild conspiracy thing. We got another bit of casting news, and I'm very excited about this. Is a woman named Casey Rawle. She has been cast as young Rachel Garrett.
Okay, you have to remind me.
All right. Well, some people who were listening may remember. Rachel Garrett was the captain of the Enterprise C in yesterday's Enterprise from Next Generation. So in that episode, it's the year 2366 in TNG. The Enterprise D, derping along, portal opens up, and the Enterprise C comes through from the year 2344.
Right.
And they just had a skirmish with the Romulans. They went through a portal. They have to go back, and they have to die. So we're getting news that the Section 31 movie's happening in the early 24th century. Enterprise C is destroyed in 2344 with the... Well, actually, it was with Shooter McGavin at the helm, because Rachel Garrett died in the 24th century, but history doesn't know that. Now, we don't know a canon age for Rachel Garrett in the episode, but the actress who played her, Tricia O'Neill, was 45 at the time.
Okay.
And the actress playing the younger Garrett in Section 31 is 32. And they could easily fudge the ages, but if we take the ages as an exact number they're using... that could mean Section 31 happens in 2331. And I looked up on Memory Alpha what happens in the Star Trek universe canonically in 2331, and there are two seemingly very unrelated things, but also super related, all right?
Okay.
I also looked at the 10 years around, and there's some interesting things that they could tackle, but 2331 is the one that got me excited.
All right.
So... in 2331, three things happen, really. Baratus 3 is the first planet in the Baratus system colonized by the Federation. Whatever, right?
Sure.
Who cares?
It's a nice, like, diplomatic thing to happen at the beginning of the season or whatever.
In June of 2331, Joseph Sisko meets a woman named Sarah.
Oh.
August, Joseph and Sarah get married following a 2-month courtship. All right. By the way, you know the TNG episode that Baratus 3... was colonized by the Federation? That episode was called The Fucking Emissary.
Oh man. That
I was like, what?
That is some conspiracy theory stuff right there.
And there's a lot of cool stuff that happened, like 2322, Jean-Luc is rejected from Starfleet Academy. 23, he gets into a Starfleet Academy. Like, from 2322 all the way through, like, there are lots of things that have been mentioned in canon that you could mess with Jean-Luc Picard. He's in the Academy. He does this at the Academy. You got Beverly Crusher born, Jack Crusher born. The Stargazers commissioned, you know, so many things. Miles O'Brien, all these people that we know are born.
Sure, yeah.
But nothing so big as, like, the freaking emissary is conceived.
Yeah.
On that exact year. I mean, it's loose, and they could do a lot of things. Like, Boothby begins his career in, like, 2330 as the groundskeeper at Starfleet Academy. They could do so much shit.
Yeah, for sure.
In this time frame.
For sure. And, like, a lot of those things seem like they could be interesting. For sure, the emissary thing could be interesting. The Picard thing could be great to just touch on a young, you know, we've seen that young, you know, whippersnapper Picard before. And so it'd be interesting to see that from a different perspective in Section 31, like, you know, especially with a time traveling alternate reality person there, and you've got Kovich running around dancing in the time stream, fixing things. So, like, who knows what kind of things you could do with Section 31 with all of that future knowledge and everything. So yeah, I think that all sounds like a really fun show. I don't know if it'll touch on any of those things. It could just be, you know, establishing that part of canon and showing like how Section 31 began in earnest. Not began, but like became who it is when we encounter it in Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, which is interesting because Georgiou could really be a trendsetter in a lot of ways.
Yeah, you think about so many of the Section 31 ideas that we see feel so dark dimension-y, like mirror dimension-y. Like I'm thinking of that. Whoever I'm not going to come up with his name. You will. That first officer that you meet that is Section 31 that sort of is like the handler of Bashir.
Oh, Sloan.
Sloan, yeah. Like,
yeah.
Director
Sloan.
Who feels like a mirror universe person more than Director Sloan does,
Oh my God, Director Sloan.
Yeah, when is he born? Like, I bet we'll get a young Sloan somewhere in this show.
I don't even want I don't want a young Sloan. I want old Sloan. And here's why. Okay, it's Section 31. They could literally do anything.
Yeah.
I want William Sadler back.
Mm-hmm.
I just watched for the first time all the way through all of the Bill and Ted movies. And Sloan plays death in those movies.
Yeah.
And
he's so good.
Sadler.
He's so good.
He's so good. And William Sadler is so good. I want to see an older Sloan than we saw on DS9 and then find out he's just been cloning himself for generations.
Or, we know Kovich is somewhere sitting at the, in the 32nd century, like bouncing around doing whatever he needs to with time travel. Mm-hmm. So what if this is just a really weird theory. What if him and Sloan are now I'm sitting here thinking about Lost and how you have the two different guys who are leaders of different factions of the what if they're both sort of guys sitting at the end of time playing their go, you know what I mean? In Lost, and they're playing some sort of 12th dimensional chess with the universe, and Sloan is just one of those characters, and Kovich could be another one of those characters, and they could exist anywhere along the Section 31 timeline,
Yeah, it reminds me of the animated show Batman: The Brave and the Bold. They did this thing where Batman is going to find out who killed his parents, and sort of in an ethereal, eternalistic kind of way, we get the Phantom Stranger and the Spectre watching Earth and making bets as to what Batman will do when he finds out. And in that show, by the way, Phantom Stranger and the Spectre were played by Hamill and Conroy, who played Batman and Joker previously. Yeah. Fantastic episode, also written by Paul Dini, and just will make you cry. But so 2333, we have Sarah Sisko disappears 2 days after Ben Sisko's first birthday. Right around this area is so much pertinent Sisko stuff. Mm-hmm. That I'm just I'm setting myself up to be disappointed. Oh, honestly.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that is likely all coincidence, especially the fact that the episode's called Emissary. That's really funny, but it's gotta be a coincidence. But it's fun. It's really fun, and I think the stuff that makes a little more sense is the modern stuff with possible time travel, with possible, Sloan, Kovich, and the idea that Georgiou sort of setting a template for what Section 31 looks like, and that sort of spread, literally the emperor of the mirror dimension is setting sort of the goals for a secret organization within the Federation. Mm-hmm. That's interesting and weird, and I don't know. We've always been fascinated by it, and the fact that the mirror universe could tie into it in that way is really fun.
Yeah. Another fun bit though is also in this time frame. You look at 2335, lore is activated on Omicron Theta. So just a couple years before this is where I'm really honing in on based on those ages of the actresses, which again they could fudge it, they could play with it, but. I mean, it would be kind of perfect right now to grab Brent Spiner and have him playing Data's father and have him dealing with Section 31 as well.
Oh, yeah.
In some capacity. You could do so much stuff.
Yeah, and Data's father, Sung, dealing with Section 31 makes a lot of sense. Or Section 31 worrying about Sung and what his plans are and stuff makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. And then, in 2336, you have Noonien and Juliana Soong relocating their laboratory. There's just so much. Why would they relocate? I mean, we know that was after Data and Lore.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, like maybe Data and Lore being created gets the ire of Section 31, and they have to move for that reason. It's. But
also 2336, cool. Sarah Sisko dies in a hovercraft accident.
All right, it's a big universe out there.
It is. I'm just saying, some big stuff is going on.
Big stuff in this era. I dig it.
I don't know. I'm just having fun.
Yeah, man, that's super fun. I love it. And it's all really exciting. That movie's sounding better and better to me, and I have no idea if I'm just overhyping myself, but it sounds really, really exciting to me. I mean, lovers of Section 31, I feel like will be excited, and we are those. We are guys who watched DS9 in its first run and got really excited about the whole prospect and always wanted to expand it on. And I feel like Georgiou has been gone long enough now that I'm kind of missing her. Like, I'm excited to see her character again and see that story kind of continue. I think if it had started right after I'd kind of gotten where I was like, Georgiou, whatever. Like, she sort of stuck around a long time on Discovery, and I kind of got filled up with Georgiou. I was like full on her whole Empress of Darkness thing. But I feel excited about it now. I always say that, like, when you lose a character, it's nice to give them a break before you bring them back. And I know this was probably more production problems than anything, but it's exciting to have her back again. Excited. Yeah.
Now, I mean, timeline-wise, the Enterprise C is destroyed in 2344, and we've only got, apocryphal data on, when she becomes the when Rachel Garrett becomes the captain of Enterprise C. But her character has a definite expiration date, canonically.
Or does she?
Well...
Is she one of those they faked her death and pulled her into Section 31?
Well, I mean, she was literally in the 24th century and had a piece of shrapnel in her brain.
Or is that what they want you to think?
We saw her body, Matt.
I'm just saying, man, transporter clones are a thing.
They are! I'm open to everything.
Oh, man. All right. Well, is that all the news?
That's everything,
I love it, man. Thanks for rounding all that up. I'm excited about so much of it. Yeah.
I went to do show prep last night, and I got tangled up in my conspiracy theory and got excited and did all that. And
I love it.
And then I had to do prep today.
Yeah. You had to do it again because...
It's like, son of a bitch.
Section 31 sent you down a rabbit hole. A Cisco hole.
Yeah.
Gotta watch out for those emissary holes, man.
Yeah, man. Always been trying to.
Always been trying to. All right. Well, we will be back, I guess, soon with Prodigy. We're going to get to that as soon as we can. We haven't really finalized exactly what we're going to do with Prodigy, but we'll cover it in some form or fashion. Probably break it up 1 or 2 episodes, 2 or 3 episodes, something. But it's real soon. And I'm going to be out of town from the 3rd to 7th. So hopefully we can grab an episode in that first couple days it's out. But I have to find time to watch it all. But yeah. All right. Well, guys, we will be back very soon with more Star Trek Universe podcasts. Peace.
Joe Lontrue, live long, prosper, eat a dick, all the things.
All them things. Thank you for listening to the Star Trek Universe Podcast, a Stranded Panda production. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Robertson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv for his web videos. If you'd like to hear more from Matthew Carroll, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast or listen to his music. Just search for Matthew Carroll anywhere you get music.